Good morning, Miss Yuji.
Good morning.
Good morning, Nao. Good morning, Moto.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, boys, can you start
Boys.
cleaning up the classroom?
Only boys. Okay.
Okay, girls, you have to start studying. The problem set is on your desk.
Oh, okay.
Moto, you should clean up much more carefully, unless you will not be able to get married.
What?
Now, are you still working on the first question? You should work much harder to get into a good university.
Okay, I got it.
Did you find that something is strange here? Boys are supposed to clean up while girls are studying. This represents the reverse version of the traditional gender role, which is women do housework while men go to work. This is what we are going to do in our workshop, Gender Rest Day. What do we try to address by reversing the gender roles? We aim to build empathy between men and women of the future generations. We believe empathy is crucial because it can bridge the perception gaps between men and women.
What do we mean by perception gap? Look at this graph. This graph shows how much housework men and women think they do. Men think that they do 30% of the housework, which seems to be only 10% in women's perspective. In contrast, women think they do most of the housework, 90%, which seems to be 70% in men's perspective. We can see a significant perception gap between men and women. Then, how do we bridge this perception gap? We believe putting men and women into the shoes of the opposite sex is crucial. This will enable men to experience how hard it is to be the main home caretaker, and women to experience how much pressure men still feel to provide for family. If both men and women understand the opposite gender role, they will be more respectful and be more willing to share the responsibilities.
Let's take a closer look at our workshop. In our workshop, Gender Rest Day, students will reverse the gender roles, emphasize with the opposite sex, and then we'll share the responsibility together. The important thing here is that we put equal emphasis on boys and girls. We do not aim to make boys feel the suffering of women. We believe that gender equality is not just women's issue, but it's everyone's problem. Our workshop is designed for junior high school students. This is because they become more aware of their gender around this age. Also, they start to notice that they are treated differently based on their gender in society. But still, they are flexible enough to question gender norms.
Our workshop consists of 4 stages, which are experience, awareness, action, and reflection. In the experience stage, as we showed in the play at the beginning, teachers will impose reverse gender roles. For example, teachers will only listen to the opinion of girls in class. When advising their career planning, teachers will require girls to enter high-ranked universities to provide for families. During lunchtime, boys have to prepare meals for girls. After lunch instead, girls are not allowed to choose desserts before the boys do. Students will probably feel that something is unusual, while the teachers will pretend as if there is nothing wrong.
The next stage is awareness. Students will understand what the experience stage was meant for and will find out what they can do to fix this unfair treatment in the workshop. We use a sheet here. First, we ask students to make the list of what they thought was different from a normal day. For instance, some boys might say that, I was really surprised because teachers forced only boys to clean up in the morning because boys and girls always share the work at school. And some girls might say that, I felt really upset because teachers told me just to go to the high-ranked university. Then we will explain that all the strange things happened in the last stage represent the reverse gender role in society. Next, after that, we will encourage students to discuss what they can do to fix this unfairness, preparing for the next stage.
In the third stage, which is action stage, students will be encouraged to confront an unfair treatment, which teachers will continue to pose on them. The action will be based on the idea in the last awareness stage. For example, when a teacher tells boys to clean up and girls to study, the student will protest teacher and suggest that boys and girls should finish cleaning together so that they both can study. To motivate them to take action, it is important that they acknowledge each other their efforts. However, students might be too shy to do that. Therefore, we will introduce thanks card. When a student wants someone for fixing an unfair treatment, he or she can give them this thanks card.
In the last stage, which is reflection, students will think about how they should act in real life by looking back on the workshop. We will use this R sheet. First, the facilitators will ask the whole class what they gave thanks cards for. Some boys might say they felt thankful for girls asking the teachers to listen to boys' opinions. In this way, students will find out that if boys and girls cooperate and share responsibilities, they can both live better life. Then, the facilitators will lead a discussion on how to apply this workshop into real life. Students will think about what those experiences actually represent in society, and also think about what actions they can take when they face these situations in real. Action stage can be a good lesson. For example, if students suggested that boys and girls should finish cleaning together in the action stage, they will also think that they should share housework with their partners in real life. Reflection stage will help students keep this learning process cycling even after the workshop.
In order to manage this workshop, facilitators and teachers are obviously important. We, as the staffs of an organization working for gender equality, will join this workshop as facilitators. Students will be divided into small groups in awareness stage and reflection stage, and we are going to lead their discussion. Likewise, teachers must be good actors in experience stage. We will train them by showing some video clips and leading some rehearsal, explaining what they have to do during the workshop. Thanks cards is a good incentive for students to take action. In addition, thanks card is a good measurement. The more time students exchange thanks card, the more our workshop has been achieved, because the more students thought what they can do to fix this unfairness in this workshop.
Through our workshop, junior high school students will experience the social gender roles that bind the opposite sex. This will cultivate empathy and imagination toward each other, which is necessary in gender equal society. Stop for a while. What does gender equality mean? We do not think that it is just an equality between men and women. Bridging this gender gap, we define a gender equal society as one in which each and every one of us is equal. That is, we can decide our own ways based on our preferences regardless of gender norms. Our workshop will raise the next generation who will be willing to share responsibilities and will eventually be free from gender norms. We believe that such young people will contribute to building the ideal genderless society.
When I saw the boy cleaning, I had this vision of myself cleaning an outsized garbage, because I'm often described as outsized garbage in my family. But that's beside the point. I'll come to the question. I was struck by the fact that you use the word empathy, because I've been arguing for on a number of occasions that empathy is something that we Japanese need in terms of communication, especially cross-cultural communication, putting yourself in the shoes of others or whatever. Do you feel that empathy is something that comes naturally to the Japanese people, or do you have a lot of work to do?
Thank you for your question. We came up with the idea of like focusing on empathy because we all studied abroad 1 year last year. We went to different countries and felt kind of minority in the society, being different from others. And this made me realize that being in a society where you are not a majority will make you imagine what it is like to be a minority. So we thought this is very important. But regarding Japanese society, because we tend to be a homogeneous society to some extent, I think it is difficult for Japanese people to imagine themselves in the position of minority.
Therefore, you felt that to instill this idea in terms of men and women might be the first easy step and important step.
Yes.
Right. Okay, thank you very much.
I liked the idea of switching roles. I retired from my university 2 years ago, and then I started washing my clothes and also start bring garbage to the collection point every week. And that has changed myself. I feel much less guilty. Therefore, I became more assertive, and our relations, my relation with my wife, have improved. So I'm a different person. I'm a newborn person. So I think the idea of switching roles would be effective. My question is this. I think the role of the teacher would be crucial. If the teachers themselves don't change their ideas, values, they may not collaborate with the facilitators like you. How do you overcome possible potential resistance from the existing teachers?
Thank you for your question. We want to share the experience with teachers before we're going to carry out this program. So we want to have some workshop session in order to train teachers, even though they have such kind of strong traditional gender roles. And I guess like discussion is really important, even though such teachers has such kind of strong gender norms. If he or she discusses the gender roles, then he might understand a little bit for what we want to say. And in the workshop, we don't think that only one teacher will be responsible for one class. We want to mix a lot of teachers in the class during the day. So even though such kind of teachers are present, we want to mix it and want to decrease the effect of such kind of strong gender norms. Does it make sense for you? Thank you.
So my question is so you will organize a workshop at school, right? Okay, so a school is a good place for teach students the gender equality, but I think students think about more situation such as house or working place, you know. So do you have any ideas that your workshop will help other situation in society? Thank you for your question. So this regards to the reflection stage we explained, which is Thursday. So we will make sure that students can interpret this experience into the real society. For example, we use the example of cleaning up and studying, but also we think, for example, the example of girls are not allowed to choose dessert before the boys do. This represents the reverse version of lady first in society. When you grow up, you have to lady first. So this will reflection stage will help students connect the workshop with the real society. Okay, thank you.
And you said men and women are perfect. Men and women treated perfectly equal. But I just wondering, what about female-only train? Do you know what I meant? Right? What I meant is female train. You know, the train. We have a train. female-only train. You know, the men can't go into the train because
Okay.
I think this is the problem. Is we are living in Japan, and the females think that we care about so much thing. So what about the women's opinions for that?
Okay, thank you. Such idea will be like a gender-free idea, I know. But our idea is is very close to, like, for example, the equality under the law or equality of the opportunity, so that we do not think that men and women should be treated completely equally, like, for example, to put the toilet together and so on. So this is, what the basically most famous example in the gender-free idea. But so we think that we should be respectable and also have empathy each other. So our idea is like that.
You described the situation of man and woman in the society very simply with reversed ideas of cleaning and etc. Well, the real situation of, for example, Japan is not that simple, and it isn't a problem of doing something together or not. Well, there are situations that should be treated with their biological differences and their not traditional, but their traits that they have born with. So do you think, how are you going to explain the situation of gender inequality to the students that they haven't really experienced a life in society yet?
We know that the situation is more complex than this. The examples we focused on are actually like a little bit exaggerated so that students can get surprised and be motivated to think about it.
Yeah.
But we make sure to tell the students that using some examples that can be relatable to them, explaining that girls are treated, have been growing up based on the gender norms. And so I think traits is a different discussion, but we will make sure that situation is not that simple and it is just an exaggeration to make you understand the situation much more easily.
And I have one more. There would be, you said that the society have to respect each other regardless of gender, and I believe there would be many people who wants to be a working at home mother, and we have to respect their position, their will, and their dream to raise children and while working at home. And the example you've shown and how you described how you painted situation of society could be harsh to those who dream to be, who really truly want them. Imagine them being a mother. How would you consider this?
Thank you for your question. I guess this is just one day experiences, and for example, if such girl experienced the men's role, but it's a really good opportunity to find that the girl really wanted to be a home mother or working at home. So just experiencing the other role for one day is a good opportunity to refine what you want or what you really want to be in future. So this one day experiences will also contribute to that kind of girls who want to be to be at home or really like to care children.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you, presenters, for an excellent
ありがとう
presentation.
ございました。